Hi, and welcome to Fay at 5. I'm LaTangela Fay, your hostess. And you know, it does my heart well to have those in the hot seat and on the tan line that's doing some wonderful things across the world to make the world we live in a better place. Now, today it's official. I have outdone myself. I have none other than the Congressman Troy Carter. How are you?
I am fantastic. Always happy to be with you. Thank you for what you do by passing these wonderful vibes through the airwaves.
Anytime. And I tell you all the time that I really want you to think of this as an extension of your office. You're working hard for us on our behalf. You have a lot of things that's going on. And one, keeping a line of communication open helps us all because then you know exactly how to help us. We know how we can assist you in getting it done because this is indeed a team effort.
Absolutely. And we're grateful to be there. You're right. Whenever we have an opportunity to share information, it's a good day. And you do a great job in allowing us to do that.
Well, thank you. You know, you took this seat and it's like you didn't have a dull moment. The block is hot. You have a lot that's going on. As soon as you touch down, what are some of the things that you just had to jump right into office and say, let's get to work?
Well, as you know, I got elected. Congress is already in session. I had to wrap up my final duties as a state senator,
Mhm.
finished it, and then went right into being a congressman. And it's a fast merry-go-round. Doesn't wait for anybody. You got to jump on, find your place. So it's been drinking from a fire hose, but in the most exciting of ways. In the middle of COVID, fighting to make sure that we have COVID recovery and that we have dollars and for communities of need, and making sure that we convince people of the importance of taking the shot and being protected to make sure that we save lives.
Right.
Then comes the hurricane. Hurricane Ida comes, and it twists us in a whole nother way of fighting for resources to make sure that we get as many dollars into the hands of people in Louisiana so they can rebuild. We're very fortunate to have the President of the United States to visit. Very fortunate to have the administrator of FEMA on the ground visiting. We're very fortunate to have HHS Secretary Becerra on the ground. And then finally, we were fortunate enough to have the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Marcia Fudge. So when we're able to bring those kind of resources to see the damage to Louisiana,
Right.
it gives us an opportunity to tell our story and to fight for resources that we're very fortunate this past week to have voted on $28.6 billion worth of dollars for disaster relief.
Wow. You know, you touched on a lot within that. And I want to touch on the fact of this ongoing pandemic, right? So we're not completely out of the woods. We're still trying to convince and educate and get everyone on board to at least have the conversation of vaccination. It's so easy for us to get bits and pieces of information and we'll run with a myth. We'll come up with our own facts. We don't do enough research to say if it's good for us, our families, our loved ones. And by the time we do, it's really too late, right? So here we are. We're still trying to educate those to get these vaccinations, which has been made free and available to those who are 16 years of age and older. What has been the biggest hurdle for you and your team to convince the community that this is something that we need to do, especially in the wake of all of these numbers, all of these deaths? I mean, it's got to be tough.
Early on, it was a denial. In the very beginning, it was denial. Oh, this can't hurt me. This can't affect me. As we started seeing the numbers ratchet and people started to die,
Mm.
more and more people started realizing how important it was to, in fact, socially distance, keep their hands clean, wear their mask. And then the second wave came of being able to get a vaccination. Many people have bad memories of history they've read about, or people who lived through issues with vaccinations,
Right.
and the fear that came from social media that somehow the vaccination wasn't safe and it may be more harmful than the actual disease. And then people started realizing, well, that's not necessarily true. So we we started getting out, educating people, working with social media, working with our faith-based communities, going into the community,
Right.
hosting vaccination sites, telling the importance of why the vaccination works, demonstrating by example. I said, hey, I took the shot as soon as I was available. I took my 86-year-old mother to get the shot. If I took my 86-year-old mother to take the shot, my two sons took the shot, I took the shot, I must believe in it.
Right.
And so by going out and telling our story, we're able to overcome those obstacles. And even with that, there's still some people who think it'll never happen to me. So we continue, the battle continues. We've got the Delta variant that's come in with a vengeance and causing more pain. More and more people are starting to realize that this is nothing to play with,
Right.
but still there are some. So using resources like yours, the TAN line, to let people know that vaccinations are available, we will bring them almost to your doorstep.
Yes.
That's how available we make them. But more importantly, that the life you save may be your own. So these kind of opportunities give us a chance to tell that story and get the message out.
Right. And during the hurricane, it's difficult for us to open these shelters and say that we're going to socially distance, or to even provide the resources that are needed if everyone isn't jumping on board to do what we need to do before the hurricanes come. And now you're seeing a lot of this hurricane recovery. How has that been across the state?
It's coming along. There's a lot of devastation out there. This was one of the most powerful storms to ever hit Louisiana.
Mhm.
And there are tons and tons of people who are really suffering. At one point we had nearly 1 million people without power. Thank God we've got the power back up and going, just
Yes.
about 99.9%. But there are many people that are still out of their homes underwater. Some homes were crushed like popsicle sticks. So we've got to continue to fight to bring the resources back to people so they can rebuild. And as the president has said, not just rebuild, but build back better.
Absolutely. And I want to touch on that in just a second. Is it okay if I keep you around just a little while longer?
Absolutely.
All right, good. Now I want you to join the conversation as well. Be sure to hit me up on the Twitter alert at LaTangelaFay. And of course, all of my links are posted at latangela.com. You keep it locked right where you have it. It's Fay at 5. Hi, and welcome back to Fay at 5. I'm LaTangela Fay, your hostess. And today in the hot seat on the tan line, we have none other than Congressman Troy Carter. Now, listen, tell me a little bit about the regions that you cover, because I know there's never a dull moment for you, and you have your hands on a lot of different places for Louisiana.
So, my district runs from West Jefferson all the way to East Baton Rouge Parish. So I pick up all of Jefferson Parish, all of New Orleans, or 99% of New Orleans. And then I meander up along the river, picking up the river parishes,
Okay.
all the way to Baton Rouge. So I've got a long, rich district with culture and diversity, a little bit of everything. So it's really a microcosm of the entire state.
Right. And, I really have to applaud you and your team. You've been doing a great job of community outreach and getting the message out, and with all of the town hall meetings, whether in person or virtually. How important is it that we educate the community on all of the things that are on the table that you're dealing with, so we understand that, it's not just a day on and 3 days off for Congressman Carter?
That's critically important because being in Congress is very much a 7-day a week, full-time journey. I mean, my day very rarely ends before 8 p.m. at night every day. And that's being generous. I'm usually back home between 9 and 10. But that comes with the territory, right? It's a huge task with a lot of work to do and a lot of moving parts. And keeping the people informed is important. That's why we've had 7 or 8 town hall meetings. We've had a series of roundtables,
Right.
getting into the community, as I promised during the campaign, that in order for me to be the voice of the people, I have to listen to the people. And so in doing so, we've made it a very important step for us to continue our listening tour, to
Mhm.
continue going into all of the parishes, having town halls, opening offices in areas where there hadn't been before, to make sure people understand that we want to maintain that family linkage
Mhm.
of communication. And the more I inform you, the better I can serve you, because you know the resources. I share with you where we are. You tell me what your needs are, what your concerns are, and I'm able to take them back in real time to the people's house, the nation's capital, the House representative, to be the voice for you.
Right. What's that message that just keeps beating like a drum over and over and over again, from the community when you're having these roundtable discussions?
I'll tell you what I find people are most excited about is that we're listening.
Mhm.
People are happy that we're on the ground, boots on the ground, and we've been since the day we were sworn in, and bringing resources to them that they may or may not have known that was available to them. But also the message of people are hurting. one of the central themes is that, we need to raise minimum wage. We need to clean up areas where there's air pollution, water pollution, and people are being made to live in conditions that are not as good as we know they can be. We
Right.
know that commerce and community can work together, but we've got to work to make that happen. That won't happen on its own. And I've been working around the clock to make sure that the message of people living in areas where there are power plants or where there's chemical plants, that they don't have to die for their jobs, that they can coexist.
Right. And some of the things that you've been also dealing with is the aftermath of Hurricane Ida and all of the disaster relief funds and getting people the right resources. How has that been received from all angles? Not just those who need, but for those who have to sit across the table and make sure that we can provide those resources.
It's people have been very appreciative. People are frustrated. People are tired because this happens every year and we go through this. And so part of the infrastructure plan is to make sure that we build back better, build back stronger, that we don't keep making the same mistakes that we made, throwing good money after bad. Our power grid goes out every time there's a storm. Well, at what point do we stop putting those wooden poles back up that the wind blows down and knocks
Right.
our power out? Under a stronger plan, we put those power lines underground. So next storm comes, we don't have these massive outings. When you're out of power in August, the hottest month of the year,
Right.
that's a death sentence for many people. Our senior citizens, people with disabilities, our children. You can't go days or weeks without power in the sweltering month of August. So we build back better. This infrastructure plan has something for rebuilding our roads and bridges, but also housing. The opportunity to create broadband, the opportunity to have lower prescription drugs, to be more resilient, to make sure that we're protecting our environment and making sure that we're building a more resilient community and providing for the environmental issues that our world faces. The beauty of this is you hear two arguments. One side is hard or brick and mortar infrastructure. The other is social or soft. In Louisiana, we need both. We've got roads and
Absolutely.
bridges that need help. We also need communities that need help.
We do. And with all of these changes that you plan to bring to the district, bring to the state, it also opens up a lane of opportunity. And in the state of Louisiana, opportunity is so scarce in a lot of different ways. It's hard for those to say that they want better to do better if they don't have resources that can provide better. So it's important that we're having these roundtable discussions, we're having questions that need answers, and that you are taking these back to the people that need to hear it, that can work with you and put their differences aside to say, we just want to do what's right in the moment. How important is it that you find those who will say, you know what, Congressman Carter, I'm tired of giving you a hard time. Let's just get this done.
Well, the reality is because I've done this as long as I have and I understand people's frustrations, I get it. And it's okay if people demonstrate a little frustration. It's
Mhm.
okay. That's our jobs to absorb that. So rather they come nice or angry, we serve them just the same. And we know that people have hard times, and I don't know what goes on inside of a person's day. So when a person's a little upset, I tell my staff, we don't know what that person's going through. So it's our job to absorb it, try our best to help them no matter what. And we asked for this job, we prayed for this job, we worked for this job. So we take it very, very seriously to go out, to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, the complaints as well as the compliments, and take it to heart that when that one person brings us something, it means something. And our staff approaches it like it's the only thing we have to do today.
That's it. And I appreciate you so much for your time and your dedication and the fact that you're always so responsible with your platforms. And, you always encourage others to do the same, whether it's in the pulpit, whether it's in the barbershop, whether it's on the school grounds. Be responsible in the moment with your platform. Make sure that we're getting the right message across and that we are being the example. And, if there's ever anything that I can do to assist, it's just a bird call away, just whoo, whoo, practice your bird call.
I
You're
got
gonna
I
need
got I
that.
got to
That's
work on
emergency.
twisting the tongue, but I'm gonna get it.
Woo. And it's a done deal. How can we keep up with you and your movements and everything else that you have going on?
Well, I'd encourage everybody to follow us at Rep Troy Carter, at Rep Troy Carter, or troycarter.gov. Gives you an opportunity to go sign in on our website. sign in and get our newsletter that we send out regularly. And if you follow us on all social media links at Rep REP Troy Carter, all together, you can sign in and find out what we're doing, where we are, what's going on, which part of the state we'll be in with the next things that are going on. One thing I want to touch real fast before we go, because I know your time is valuable, is the Equal Act was something I presided over in the Congress last week. And it's significant legislation because we know the damage that the disparity between crack cocaine and powder cocaine in the sentencing. Well, we know that most of the users or sellers of crack cocaine are in poor, impoverished areas. Powder cocaine has been kind of viewed as the rich man's drug. Yet, same product, just cooked or prepared in a different way. Powder in more form, crack is boiled down to a rock and then smoked. But a person with crack cocaine had a stronger, heftier sentence versus the person that powder cocaine. Same drug, same illegal use. And until now, we had a great disparity where those neighborhoods were Black and brown and impoverished people who had crack got much longer sentences than those who were the richer, more affluent users of powder cocaine. Right. Under the Equal Act, we equalize that. The drug is seen in the exact same way. Rather, it's powder or crack. The violation is the same, and no longer is that disparity in place where people of color or people who are more impoverished who use the much cheaper form of cocaine are not discriminated against by getting higher sentences. That's the kind of things that people don't always see that we're doing, but that's the progress that we're working on every day to equalize things for the people of America and the people of Louisiana, many of which who've been left out of the discussion for far too long. Yes. And I'm happy to bring them back into it.
We are proud of you and grateful for you and looking forward to all of the other great things that you're working on our behalf. And, it's about time for us to get out of here and get back to some work. I haven't had my tea yet, so I'm grouchier than normal, but I got you covered with an extra cup of tea. I want you to get out and chase the sun or let the sun chase you. But either way, get after it. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
God bless you. Thank you so very much.